Chapter 1: Traveling into the Future. Lin Xiu was one of the many nerds who was unemployed after graduation. As he was in a gloomy mood that day, he played League of Heroes and abused the other party. But when he left the game, a window popped up. "Are you tired of reality? Do you really want to live?" Lin Xiu was somewhat speechless. These games always relied on this sort of advertisement to attract people's attention. The person who created this pop-up must have read too many novels, eh? Just as Lin Xiu was about to close the window, he realized that there wasn't a close button or an option to cancel. There was only a yes button. Lin Xiu furrowed his brows and instinctively clicked on the yes button. Right at that moment, the computer flashed. Did he get a virus? Lin Xiu was stunned. Just as he was about to do something, there was a loud bang and his computer exploded in an instant. After an indeterminate amount of time, when Lin Xiu opened his eyes again, his surroundings seemed to have changed. "Where is this place?" He held his head and sat up. Lin Xiu shook his head, and his hazy sight suddenly became clear. This was a dormitory similar to a 4-people dormitory in university. However, the place looked like it was installed with high-tech stuff, and there was a giant screen on the wall in front of him. At this moment, he felt like there were many pieces of memories appearing in his mind. Time traveled? With the information in his head, Lin Xiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That's right, he had indeed traveled in time and gone into the future. The year was 2666. The sudden invasion of extraterrestrial life was a devastating blow for mankind on Earth, who were caught off guard. After hundreds of years of war, the countries on Earth formed federations and used nuclear weapons to finally wipe out those aliens. But the virus, codenamed X, brought by extraterrestrial creatures had engulfed the globe. Infected people became zombies, while infected animals turned into terrifying monsters. However, there were some people who didn't turn into zombies. Their bodies instead evolved and became stronger and faster. This particular group of people was known as warriors. 30 years had gone by, and Earth had already become a world dominated by warriors. Powerful warriors, combined with weapons made of special metals accumulated from other planets, could kill a giant mutated monster that couldn't even be killed with a missile. However, right now, Lin Xiu felt like weeping but had no tears. The owner of this body he possessed was ranked at the top in school intellectually. Unfortunately, he was simply lacking in strength and talent, and wasn't even as good as ordinary humans. Moreover, his parents had passed away, and if not for his parents' inheritance, he wouldn't be able to study here. What a waste of this handsome face. He's actually a good-for-nothing. Lin Xiu stood in front of the mirror and pinched his face. What was more surprising was that the owner of this body was also called Lin Xiu. Such a coincidence. There's even cockroaches here. After standing in front of the mirror for a while, Lin Xiu had no choice but to accept the current reality. He suddenly saw a black thing near his feet, and when he took a closer look, it was actually a huge cockroach. It was way bigger than any cockroaches he had ever seen before. Lin Xiu stepped on it instinctively and immediately squashed it. Ding! Congratulations, Master, on killing one mutated cockroach. You've gained 1 experience point. Congratulations, Master, on leveling up. You're currently at level 1 and have gained 1 potential point. What? What is it that's talking? Lin Xiu was stunned. He then looked around, but there wasn't anything near him. Wait a minute. This voice sounded like it came from my head. Right then, everything before Lin Xiu turned black, and he felt like he was in his mind. Suddenly, there was a frame on top. Host, Lin Xiu. Level, Level 1, experience, 0, 100 experience required for the next level. Strength, 35, physique, 33, speed, 32. An average person scores at least 38 for each segment. Skill, an analytic eye rage buildup, 0, 100 overall combat strength, 250. System. Lin Xiu's mouth was wide open. He then burst into laughter. It seemed like there was still preferential treatment for a transmigrator like him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to survive in this world for sure. But what's with this overall combat strength of only 250? As Lin Xiu had just leveled up, he gained a potential point and added this point to his strength without hesitation. Just then, Lin Xiu felt a slight increase in strength in his arms, but this didn't make a huge difference. It seemed like he still needed to kill a few more cockroaches, but were there any more cockroaches in this dormitory? All of a sudden, there was a loud bang and the door was kicked open. A few guys stood at the door, laughing. The one standing right in front was a tall and bulky guy called Ma Qiang, and behind him were Zhang Dong and Chen Li. They lived in this dormitory as well, and were considered dormitory mates. But actually, the former Lin Xiu had always been bullied by them. He had to clean the floor, wash the clothes, and much more. Whenever they were in a bad mood, they would use Lin Xiu as a punching bag to vent. "Hurry up, Lin Xiu! Clean up the mud on my shoe." Ma Qiang entered, took a sip of water, and said to Lin Xiu, "What? If you're not coming over, your father, I, will press your head into the toilet bowl." Ma Qiang threatened when he saw Lin Xiu standing there, staring at him in anger. "Get lost!" Lin Xiu was no longer that weak person from before. Looking at Ma Qiang and the others, a burning flame of anger rose in his heart and he yelled. Ma Qiang and the others were stunned when they heard him yell. Lin Xiu would always obey them. They didn't expect that he would actually scold them this time. Courting death, Ma Qiang charged forward and kicked him in the stomach directly. He moved very swiftly, and Lin Xiu didn't have time to react at all. There was a loud bang, and Lin Xiu was sent flying as he slammed into the wall behind. A sharp pain shot through his heart. Analytic eye is activated. Character, Ma Qiang, beginner warrior. Strength, 55. Physique, 45. Speed, 47. Overall combat strength, 480. Right at that moment, an ice-cold voice came from his head. While Lin Xiu was covering his sore abdomen, he suddenly recalled the skill he had seen just now. Analytic eye. This should be the skill that allowed him to analyze these people's abilities. Damn, this Ma Qiang's combat strength was about 200 more than his. Lin Xiu wasn't his match at all. "How dare you scold me?" Ma Qiang walked over and continued kicking Lin Xiu. Tsk, how shameless. Zhang Dong and Chen Li walked over as well and began punching and kicking Lin Xiu, who was on the ground. They were the lowest-ranking warriors in the academy and could only bully Lin Xiu to make themselves feel relevant. Lin Xiu hugged his head and got up. His fist was balled tightly. A ray of ferocious light glinted in his eyes. "Become stronger. I must become stronger." During this time, the number on the rage build-up icon in his head kept increasing. It was about to hit 100%. Chapter 2. Draw a prize. Ding! Rage build-up meter is full. Does Master want to use the power-up strike? Hearing this voice, Lin Xiu was stunned at first. Then he was elated. "Use!" Lin Xiu roared inside. "Damn, you're still pretending, huh?" Seeing that Lin Xiu wasn't speaking, Ma Qiang wanted to trample on his lower body part. And the place he wanted to trample on was his vital part. He was going to make sure Lin Xiu didn't have any offsprings. But just at this moment, before he could even react, Lin Xiu got up and punched him straight away. There was a resounding bang, and before Ma Qiang could respond, he was sent flying like a broken kite. There was a loud crash, and the door in front was smashed into pieces. Ma Qiang crashed into the fence outside, and even that fence made from metal was deformed. Ma Qiang's eyes rolled back, and he went completely unconscious. Zhang Dong and Chen Li were dumbfounded when they saw this, and they started trembling. They couldn't imagine how Lin Xiu became so strong all of a sudden. Ma Qiang was a beginner warrior, and they were weaker than him. If Ma Qiang was sent flying, then You don't come over. Chen Li swallowed his saliva and looked at Lin Xiu fearfully. Get lost, Lin Xiu yelled angrily. Zhang Dong and Chen Li quickly ran outside, and they didn't forget to drag the unconscious Ma Qiang along. Phew! Lin Xiu sat on the floor and felt his entire body in pain. If not for this power-up strike just now, he would probably be terribly beaten up by them. Strength, strength. He must quickly level up in strength. But he only gained 1 experience point after killing a cockroach. If he wanted to level up again, he must kill 100 cockroaches. Ding! Congratulations, Master, for using the power-up strike. You've gained a chance to draw a prize. Chance to draw a prize? Lin Xiu, who was initially sitting on the floor and panting, was suddenly energized and immediately stood up. He checked the system and tapped on the option to draw a prize at the back of his head. A huge lottery wheel appeared all of a sudden. It was divided into 10 sections, and each section had a large number of sparkling items. 3 of the sections had all sorts of saber, sword, and even spear techniques. Another 3 sections were union coins, which was the common currency used in the current world. The last 3 sections were potential pills. The final section was a grand prize that was emanating a golden glow. Lin Xiu's eyes glistened. Those sabers and other techniques were not very useful to him at this moment, because he had to be at least a level 1 warrior in order to cultivate those skills. The union coins were equivalent to the former world's Chinese yuan, and it wasn't the most crucial thing he needed right now. Instead, the potential pills were what Lin Xiu needed the most currently. Although getting the grand prize might be the best, that section was simply too small, and he probably wouldn't get it. Lin Xiu gritted his teeth and decided to draw a prize. His mind was stirred up, and that lottery wheel began moving. The needle moved quickly at the start and began to slow down after that. Lin Xiu held his breath, and the needle went across the various techniques and was about to stop at the potential pills. Stop! 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 Lin Xiu's face was red, and he appeared very excited. But the needle continued to move and looked like it was about to reach the grand prize. Could it be? Ding! Congratulations, Master, on receiving 10,000 union coins. But right at the end, the needle shifted slightly and pointed at the union coin section. Darn it! At this moment, a card appeared before Lin Xiu, which probably contained 10,000 union coins. The commodity prices in this world were almost the same as the former world, so 10,000 union coins were equivalent to about 10,000 Chinese yuan. But right now, he was all injured and could use these union coins to visit the school doctor for treatment. This world was completely different from his original world. The technology here was much more advanced than before. The buildings around him were similar to the style of a sci-fi world he saw in the movies last time, and the bicycles that some people were riding around were now maglev bicycles. Power and magnetism were generated through pedaling on the bicycles, and they traveled to the back wheels, then to the gears in the center. As long as they were in the city, These maglev bicycles could move freely and would no longer be affected by stones or bumps. The school doctor's office was also a smart system, and there were several treatment cabins inside. As long as one laid in it and filled it with culture fluid, it would automatically restore one's body. Knock, knock. It seemed like nobody was around, but out of politeness, Lin Xiu still knocked on the door. According to the information in his head, there should be a commissioner around. Nobody's around? Just as Lin Xiu was about to knock on the main door, he realized that the door wasn't locked. He thought about it and directly turned the knob and entered. There were a few faint lights inside, and the entire room was decorated in white. But just at this moment, Lin Xiu heard some faint noises. He walked over carefully, and through that slightly ajar door, he saw a woman with long hair in a white coat sitting there, looking at something with concentration. "Who is it?" Immediately afterward, that woman in white coat looked outside the door. Lin Xiu reacted quickly and took a few steps back. He then innocently shouted, "Is there anyone around?" That woman walked out and Lin Xiu was stunned. "Oh, so it's student Xiaolin." That woman smiled and said, "You know me?" Lin Xiu was taken aback. Then he subconsciously mumbled to himself. Chapter 3. Fighting for a Place. Who wouldn't know Xiaolin, the bottommost student in Xingyao Academy? The woman giggled. "Don't call me Xiaolin," Lin Xiu exclaimed. At this moment, the woman asked seriously, "Go on, which restoration fluid do you want?" "The 9,800 union coins won." Lin Xiu sighed and replied. As he spoke, Lin Xiu handed that bank card from just now over to this woman. "Isn't this Xiao Qiang's office?" Lin Xiu asked, a little puzzled at the moment. "He's on leave today, so I'll help him for a day. By the way, my name is Xiaoro Shui." Hearing the word shui in her name, which meant water in English, Lin Xiu immediately had a certain dirty image in his head. "Well, lie inside," Xiaoro Shui said to Lin Xiu after deducting 9,800 union coins from the card. Lin Xiu was a little embarrassed as he entered the smart treatment cabin. He had to take off his clothes to enter the treatment cabin, but he could obviously leave his underwear on. "You're not shy, are you?" Xiaoro Shui narrowed her eyes and grinned. "Cough, cough." Lin Xiu blushed, but he immediately recovered his composure. The injuries on Lin Xiu's body surprised her a little. There were all kinds of red marks on his body, and it seemed like there were quite a number of internal injuries that developed from getting beaten up over the years. After lying down in the treatment cabin, Xiaoro Shui poured the green culture fluid from the other side into the cabin. The more expensive this restoration liquid was, the better the restoration power would be. But Lin Xiu's injuries were soft tissue bruising. Although they were a little serious, ordinary restoration fluid was enough. He was only left with 200 union coins now. It was really quite expensive. Soon, Lin Xiu felt the restoration fluid slowly cover his whole body. The treatment cabin is about to close. Estimated restoration time is 5 hours. 5 hours went by very quickly, and when Lin Xiu woke up, the restoration fluid had slowly reduced and disappeared. The cabin door opened, and those injuries on his body were gone. Those internal injuries he got before traveling through time had recovered too, and his entire body felt like it was brimming with energy. Lin Xiu got dressed and walked out of the room, but that woman was already gone. He didn't think too much about it. He looked at the time and quickly rushed to his class. There are 20 places available to go to the A20 district for actual combat this time, and all the beginner warriors in our class can join. The teacher in charge, Luo Li, stood on the podium and said to everybody, there were exactly 20 beginner warriors in class, so there was no need to fight for places. Where's Ma Qiang? Just then, Luo Li's gaze swept across everyone and he asked, So, Ma Qiang, he is undergoing a surgery at C District. Zhang Dong and Chen Li looked at one another and replied, Surgery? Luo Li was stunned. What exactly happened? He was beaten up by Lin Xiu till his ribs were fractured. There is also a crack in his vertebra. Chen Li gritted his teeth and answered, You're kidding. A guy at the side burst out laughing. The others began to laugh as well. Lin Xiu was the bottommost student in the academy, and everyone was stronger than him. How could someone so useless beat up Ma Qiang so badly? Nobody could believe it. I'm serious, Chen Li said. He also didn't know how Lin Xiu had a burst of strength at that time and caused Ma Qiang to be in this state with just one strike. Forget it. Then Ma Qiang doesn't have to go for the A20 district's combat practice this time. Luo Li rubbed her temples before speaking. Teacher, can I go? At this moment, Lin Xiu walked in and asked. Everyone's eyes turned towards Lin Xiu. Chen Li and Zhang Dong were shocked and seemed slightly fearful. Ma Qiang was in this state with just one strike, so they were definitely terrified. Lin Xiu, the A20 district is full of zombies and mutated beasts. You haven't even reached the strength of a beginner warrior. It's simply courting death. A guy sneered disdainfully. The others also looked at Lin Xiu as though he was retarded. Lin Xiu, don't be impulsive. The A20 district is very dangerous. You should train more first. Luo Li spoke up after being silent for a while. Lin Xiu was very outstanding in terms of theoretical knowledge, but he was still too weak physically. If I defeat you, does it mean that I can go? Lin Xiu looked at that guy who sneered disdainfully just now and asked plainly, You! The guy was called Shu Jun and he was very tall and well built. At this moment, he stood up and stared at Lin Xiu. Hearing Lin Xiu provoking him, he felt insulted. A weak loser was trying to challenge him? Want to try? Lin Xiu spoke with his eyes narrowed. The analytic eye had been activated. Shu Jun, level, beginner warrior, strength, 52, physique, 41, speed, 37, overall combat strength, 443. This chap was slightly weaker than Ma Qiang, and as long as Lin Xiu dodged carefully and waited for his rage meter to be full, he would be able to use the power-up strike and knock him down directly. Sure, Shu Jun was furious and scoffed. He must beat this Lin Xiu up badly, he thought to himself. You guys, Luo Li was stunned, but Shu Jun had already gone outside with Lin Xiu. Lin Xiu, don't fight with him. He's already a beginner warrior, a guy said to Lin Xiu. This person was Yang Tian. He was quite plump and was the only one in class who didn't look down on Lin Xiu. Don't worry, I've wanted to beat him up for a very long time already, replied Lin Xiu with a smirk. This Shu Jun always bullied Lin Xiu in class as well. At this moment, Lin Xiu balled up his fist tightly. Quick, look. That loser Lin Xiu is actually asking for a fight. Isn't he courting death? Huh? It was time for class, but many students were in the field having combat training. When they saw Lin Xiu and Shu Jun standing in the middle of the martial arts ground, a large number of them went over and crowded around. Chapter 4. You can't call me trash from now on. Shu Jun, be gentle. Luo Li had a headache. He did not expect Lin Xiu to be so impulsive, but he had no other choice and could only warn Shu Jun. After all, they were his students, and if anything were to happen, he had to take responsibility as the teacher in charge. And I will guide Lin Xiu well. Shu Jun nodded his head and sneered. He made his move at this moment. Shu Jun was a beginner warrior with an extremely powerful physique. He charged right at Lin Xiu and raised his enormous fist with the intention to smash onto Lin Xiu's body. Bang! Lin Xiu immediately reacted by blocking with both hands, but he still felt the intense pain from the attack. The restoration liquid he had just used had healed all of the internal injuries in his body. His current physique had risen from 33 to 35 points. Although it was a marginal difference of just 2 points, Lin Xiu could feel that his body was completely different from before, and it immediately rose by another 20 points due to the anger from Shu Jun's fist. Impressive. He only had to keep avoiding and resisting now. Where can you hide? Seeing that Lin Xiu was avoiding him repeatedly, Shu Jun immediately flew into a mad rage. His body flashed quickly toward Lin Xiu. Ha ha ha, as expected of a trash, you can only avoid him. As they noticed that Lin Xiu was constantly escaping, several people started laughing and jeering at him. This made Zhang Dong and Chen Li feel that Lin Xiu was a wolf in sheep's clothing. After all, they had personally witnessed the explosive power released by Lin Xiu that had directly knocked out Ma Qiang. 30 points. 40 points. Damn trash. If you have the guts, stop avoiding me. Shu Jun was infuriated at this point. Since there were so many spectators watching the fight, he wanted to kick Lin Xiu down to the ground. But Lin Xiu continued to dodge and showed no intent to attack. Although Shu Jun would occasionally strike him, all his strikes would be blocked by Lin Xiu's arms. Luo Li's eyes would occasionally reveal surprise. As the teacher in charge, he naturally understood Lin Xiu. Even though Lin Xiu had trained and worked hard, his natural talent and physique were weak. This led to him feeling inferior and being the target of humiliation and bullying in school. Who would have thought that this Lin Xiu seemed to have changed into a completely different person? Although his strength was only average, Lin Xiu's eyes revealed unwavering determination, something Luo Li had never seen before. Go and die. At this moment, Shu Jun suddenly raged out and sent a powerful fist over. Can't dodge this, all the spectators remarked, as though anticipating that Lin Xiu would fall to the ground. Ding, your rage meter is full. Do you wish to unleash the power-up strike? Yes. Right before the fist landed on him, that voice in his head finally resounded. Lin Xiu laughed fanatically and returned a fist right at Shu Jun, seeking death. Seeing that Lin Xiu did not avoid his fist strike, but instead unleashed his own, with the intent of competing in terms of power. Shu Jun's eyes constricted. It's over! A girl cried out and immediately covered her eyes. Shu Jun was a beginner warrior, and the strength of his fist was enough to crush Lin Xiu's bones. Ah! A scream came out, not from Lin Xiu, but from Shu Jun. The moment both fists met, Shu Jun was the one sent flying. Furthermore, his arm was distorted and his bones were clearly broken. The entire place fell silent. No one could believe their eyes. It was too strange and bizarre. The trash, who was at the bottom in the school combat ranking, actually brought down an entry-grade martial artist. Impossible! Impossible! As if he had forgotten the pain in his arm, Shu Jun roared loudly. Quickly send him to the infirmary. Although Luo Li was shocked, he was able to arrange for students to send Shu Jun to the infirmary to have his hand fixed. From now onwards, no one can call me trash. Lin Xiu stood in his original position and glanced at everyone as he roared. So cool. A few girls felt their hearts beating faster when they saw Lin Xiu's tyrannical scene. Lin Xiu was already good-looking and excelled academically, but due to his frail body, he never had the opportunity to become a martial artist. In addition, he was constantly bullied by others, so no one ever fancied him. But now, Lin Xiu looked as though he had been reborn. Some of the girls had a glow in their eyes. "Teacher Luo, can I go to District 820 for the actual combat training?" Lin Xiu walked over and asked Luo Li. Although District 820 had zombies and mutated beasts, he would be able to kill the mutated beasts and gain even more experience if he moved there. If it went according to plan, he could even deal with the zombies. At that time, as long as he could raise his potential, much less being an ordinary person, time would be the only restriction if he wanted to overtake the powerful martial artists in school. "You may." Luo Li gave a bitter smile and replied after a long silence. "How did you do it?" He realized that he could not see through or understand the student in front of him. The power unleashed by Lin Xiu had reached the intensity of a true martial artist. But the current Lin Xiu standing in front of him was clearly someone who had yet to even reach the entry-grade martial artist level. Could he be training in some powerful fist art that granted him a great burst of power in an instant? Impossible. His physique isn't able to withstand or capable enough to cultivate in that. That's a secret. Lin Xiu gave a mysterious smile and answered. The news of Lin Xiu beating Xu Jun spread across the campus. Although Xu Jun was only a beginner warrior, he was not lacking and was not some unknown figure at the back of the school rankings. But the crucial thing was that Lin Xiu's combat abilities were at the bottom of the list with a trash value of 250 points, and yet he was able to defeat Xu Jun, a beginner warrior. This had changed everything. Adding the people that went to further investigate and found out that Ma Qiang was similarly beaten on the same day by Lin Xiu, the news circulated even quicker around the campus. But Lin Xiu did not care about this, while Zhang Dong and Chen Li did not dare return to the dorm that night. Ma Qiang's defeat could be considered a slight surprise. But for Lin Xiu to defeat Xu Jun, the two of them who had yet to become beginner warriors did not dare return. They were afraid of being beaten to a pulp by Lin Xiu. Lin Xiu applied some ointment in the dorm. Although he was constantly in the defensive position in the battle with Xu Jun, his opponent was a beginner warrior and had left many wounds on his body. He had to prepare well after obtaining the qualifications to enter District 820's actual combat. He had to kill zombies and mutated beasts and continue to progress. Chapter 5. First Zombie Kill. District 820 was an area situated on the north side of the city. This location had been contaminated and had a virus strain going on. All the surrounding city districts were filled with zombies and a few mutated beasts. Although it was dangerous, opportunities coexisted with crises. Many parts of the mutated beasts were powerful ingredients, and a few high-grade weapons were made from these parts. Additionally, an object was found in every mutated beast's brains and had been hailed as odd crystal. These objects had crystallized bodies with peculiar energy within that could greatly improve cultivation when a martial artist absorbed it while training. Since it was their first visit to District 820 for actual combat, Luo Li had to be cautious and brought a team out. They sat on the latest maglev train early in the morning and arrived at District 820 in less than a few hours. The train was so fast that Lin Xiu thought he was on a rocket. They were in a small-scale town with gigantic walls around that prevented ordinary mutated beasts and zombies from breaking through immediately, so it was considered safe. I'm somewhat anxious. Yang Tian was equipped in protective clothes and held a blade as he commented. What are you scared of? Lin Xiu laughed. He was instead very relaxed, but he was slightly apprehensive inside. After all, it would be his first time killing the so-called zombies and mutated beasts. You're not afraid, but I am, Yang Tian mumbled to himself. After what happened previously, he no longer understood Lin Xiu anymore. Lin Xiu's victory over Xu Jun meant that his strength was already at the beginner warrior level. Could it be that Lin Xiu was faking all along? But that was impossible. Who could possibly endure being called a loser for so long? Gather! Right at this time, Luoli shouted sternly at the front. Everyone gathered in perfect rows the instant his voice rang out, making him nod in satisfaction. All of you have been training in the academy for a long time. Your strength has reached the level of beginner warriors, and you are even equipped with battle blades. Handling ordinary zombies and mutated beasts should not be a problem. But only by going through actual combat can you test your own capabilities. And only through actual combat can you strengthen your mentality and temperament. Last year, a few beginner warriors were bitten and killed by rank 1 zombies because they had fear in their hearts. Upon hearing this, everyone's face became solemn. A few of them even had perspiration dripping down their foreheads. We will be moving out soon. The 20 of us will be split into 4 teams. Feel free to group up. Lin Xiu, come with us. Yang Tian spoke to Lin Xiu as he looked at the crowd. Lin Xiu nodded his head, while another 2 called Zhang Yi and Ye Qiu joined his team. But they seemed to be unwilling, as though being with Lin Xiu was embarrassing. Lin Xiu did not bother about them at all. I will ask this one last time. Have all of you decided to participate? Once you leave these doors, the roads outside will be filled with zombies and mutated beasts. Whether you live or die will depend on yourselves. Luo Li leaned against the wall right next to the big gates and asked as his eyes swept across the crowd. Yes, everyone agreed in unison. Luo Li nodded his head in satisfaction. Although he did not know of the result, at least there were no cowards within the group. Remember not to venture too far outside. The zombies and mutated beasts outside are very strong. Luo Li's expression became serious at this point. Even as a third-rank martial artist, he had difficulties dealing with the higher-rank mutated beasts. The 20 of them were equipped with battle robes and blades supplied by Xinyao Academy. Although the battle robes were soft, they were capable of withstanding ordinary attacks. The battle blades were manufactured using special alloys and were extremely sharp as well. Go on, and remember to bring the odd crystals back from the mutated beasts. You can exchange them for points back at District A20's supply shop. After Luo Li's introduction, everyone headed out. The instant they went out, everyone saw an endless forest ahead. It seemed as though there were many structures hidden inside as well. Lin Xiu was slightly shocked at the scene. The old city had been covered by a large forest, and the original form of the city was no longer recognizable. When they left, the 4 teams walked in different directions. Be careful, don't be a burden to us. Zhang Yi walked to Lin Xiu and snorted. Although Lin Xiu defeated Xu Jun that day, Zhang Yi thought it was nothing. He was far more powerful than Xu Jun, and his strength was almost at the level of real warriors. What are you acting for? Yang Tian spat in disdain. Lin Xiu looked around. He did not care about Zhang Yi's ridicule and concentrated his attention on his surroundings. Although he had relied on power-up strikes to defeat both Ma Qiang and Xu Jun, his actual strength was still very weak. And all the zombies and mutated beasts were fanatical. that would engage in life and death battles upon encountering humans. They would never be merciful. It could be said that a minor slip in judgment would lead to death. Over there, just then, a few scarlet dots appeared inside a structure that was covered with vines. Yang Tian's eyes immediately constricted when he saw that. Lin Xiu immediately activated his analytic eyes. Rank 1 zombie traits. Extremely slow, sharp teeth, carries virus strain. Overall combat strength 380. Damn, even a lower rank zombie had higher combat strength than him. At this moment, Lin Xiu could not help but feel aggrieved. His current overall combat strength was 291. Although it had improved from 250, it was still extremely low compared to others. The zombies seemed to have sensed their presence and started to rush towards them. As expected, the analytic eye was not wrong. The zombies moved extremely slowly, and as long as one did not get caught, they were easy to deal with. Zhang Yi, Ye Qiu, and Yang Tian immediately broke out in a cold sweat. It was their first time seeing real zombies, and the zombies had pale and rotten faces. Their opened mouths revealed the sharp teeth and flowing blood. The three were actually at a loss, but Lin Xiu was rather excited. Experience. If he was not wrong, killing a zombie would definitely give him experience. He held the extremely thin yet sharp battle blade and charged forward. He hacked at the closest zombie and immediately sliced its body into two. Ding! Congratulations! Master has successfully killed a rank 1 zombie and obtained 200 experience points. Congratulations, Master, for increasing your level. Currently at level 2, you have obtained 2 potential points. Chapter 6. Boss Zombie Potential Points 2. Lin Xiu felt elated. He initially thought he would only receive 1 potential point for every level. Who would have thought that he would gain 2 potential points after leveling up? If that was the case, would he get 3 potential points at level 3? Lin Xiu no longer hesitated and added both points into strength. At present, his strength was at 38 points and was considered average for a normal person. At this point, zombies pounced from another direction and shocked Lin Xiu, who retreated almost immediately. Zhang Yi snorted and charged forward. He was a beginner warrior and was much stronger than Lin Xiu. He ran forward and exerted his strength to hack down and quickly dealt with a few zombies. Powerful Zhang Yi! Ye Qiu rushed forward anxiously and started flattering him. Who was the one that did not dare rush up initially? Yang Tian sneered. You. Zhang Yi pointed at Yang Tian, and his expression became ugly. Lin Xiu did not bother about them. To him, the most important thing was to hunt and kill zombies to level up. The few zombies that were snatched by Zhang Yi caused Lin Xiu a heartache. They were all experience points. As they continued venturing in, they could see the outline of the city clearly. This caused Lin Xiu to gasp in surprise. It looked just like a forest a moment ago. The truth was that the trees were too tall and had covered all the structures. Yang Tian and the others looked around. They were cautious and afraid that something might pop up. These zombies again, let me take care of them. Ye Qiu spotted a few lingering zombies and rejoiced as he rushed forward. Let us go too, Yang Tian spoke up as well. They were out to temper themselves. When they saw the zombies, they knew they had to take out at least 1 or 2 by themselves. Roar! But when Ye Qiu arrived before them, the closest zombie actually charged at him at a fast speed. It was so sudden that Ye Qiu could not react in time and was actually forced onto the ground. The zombie opened its bloodied mouth and bit on his body. Scram! Zhang Yi reacted quickly and kicked the zombie on its chest, causing it to flip to the side. How can the zombie be so fast? Lin Xiu's eyes constricted as he quickly activated Analytic Eye. Level 1 boss zombie trait. Extremely fast, sharp claws and teeth, able to summon a level 1 zombie. Overall combat strength 580. What the hell? A boss zombie. Yang Tian, don't go over. Lin Xiu immediately warned Yang Tian when he realized that. What's up? Yang Tian looked at Lin Xiu suspiciously. That's a boss zombie. He will be able to summon level 1 zombies over. It'll be troublesome then. Lin Xiu replied with a solemn expression. Although he wanted to kill the zombie and gain experience, his life was more important. Rubbish. What boss grade? We can just kill it. Zhang Yi was obviously unhappy with Lin Xiu and immediately charged forward with his battle blade. The boss zombie actually knew how to dodge whenever Zhang Yi slashed forward. It dodged continuously and used its sharp fingernails to scratch Zhang Yi on his battle robes and immediately ripped a hole in it. Scram! Zhang Yi held onto his robes and hacked at the boss zombie's arm. With a bang, the arm was chopped off cleanly. Roar! The zombie suddenly unleashed a loud wail that shook the entire forest. See that trash? I, Zhang Yi, can deal with this zombie with ease. He turned and spoke to Lin Xiu in disdain. Zhang Yi, behind you. But right at this time, Ye Chu retreated while crawling and rolling with all of his might as he spoke up. Lin Xiu looked in the same direction and got the shock of his life. His analytic eye was right. There were zombies rushing at them. Zhang Yi had just taken a turn when a zombie pounced on him from the back. More and more zombies appeared, totaling to more than a dozen. Zhang Yi was at a loss for words. He continued to slash while retreating. The number of zombies had scared him as well. Lin Xiu, why are you running over there? Lin Xiu saw that the zombie that Zhang Yi cut down was still alive and rushed forward to land another strike. Ding! Congratulations! Master has successfully killed a rank 1 zombie, obtaining 200 experience points. The clear sound came out again. The icy cold voice sounded pleasant to Lin Xiu's ears, but it would still take a while for him to reach level 3. He looked at the progress bar in his mind. 200 out of 500. 3 more. Just 3 more. Lin Xiu, let's go now. Yang Tian saw the zombies slowly moving towards them and shouted out. Zhang Yi, who was taken aback previously, had a change in expression. He ran away immediately. If he were to be infected because of the number of zombies, it would be over. Although he was considered strong in the class, he was extremely afraid of death. Zhang Yi, wait for me. Ye Chu was so scared that he peed in his pants while escaping with Zhang Yi. The blood in Lin Xiu's body started to boil when he saw the zombies surrounding them. He was still not strong enough. As long as he could kill the zombies, leveling up multiple times was possible. Aside from the boss zombie, the other level 1 zombies were slow. He felt that it was possible, and the boss zombie was currently standing in place and holding on to its broken arm, as though it was trying to reattach it back. A chance, as the saying goes, riches and honor in the depths of danger, I'll risk it. He held onto his battle blade and slashed onto a zombie that approached from the side. Bang! The zombie had its head sliced off immediately as blood sprayed all over the ground. It was his first time killing zombies today, and Lin Xiu started to feel disgusted and nauseated. Lin Xiu, seeing how he continued to kill the zombies, Yang Tian thought for a moment before taking his battle blood and joining Lin Xiu to deal with the zombies. The zombies had slow reaction speed. Under Lin Xiu's constant hacking, he killed countless zombies. The notification of him gaining experience points appeared incessantly. Must we risk so much for this? Yang Tian looked at Lin Xiu, who was fanatically hacking down at the battle blades, and felt a shiver down his spine as he muttered to himself, "Roar!" By this time, the boss zombie had somehow reattached his broken arm to the main body. It noticed Lin Xiu's massacring its zombie horde and immediately rushed forward. Chapter 7: Unanalyzable Mutated Python. How? That zombie let out a howl, and its fingers became extremely sharp. It then pounced toward Lin Xiu. As Lin Xiu had just attacked and killed those zombies, his body was already soaked with fresh blood. He seemed exceptionally horrifying. Lin Xiu wanted to dodge quickly, but that boss zombie was too quick. With a bang, the zombie pounced on Lin Xiu and he fell to the ground. Then, the zombie opened its blood-filled mouth and wanted to bite Lin Xiu on the neck. Damn! Lin Xiu pulled back his legs and pressed against the zombie's abdomen area as he grabbed its wrists and refused to let it bite him. "Do you know that your breath stinks?" Lin Xiu yelled while gritting his teeth. Yang Tian was still killing those zombies, who kept coming over and didn't have a chance to care about Lin Xiu. "Oh right, he killed so many zombies just now. How many times did he level up?" Lin Xiu had a sudden realization and nearly forgot about it when he was busy killing the zombies. He took a quick glance and saw that he had already reached level 5. Also, he had 12 potential points. "Use them all on strength," Lin Xiu shouted. His strength immediately rose from 38 to 50 at this moment. A powerful force surged into Lin Xiu's body instantly. He had already reached the strength of a beginner warrior. "What?" Yang Tian heard Lin Xiu's shout and instinctively turned toward him. All he saw was that as Lin Xiu yelled the words, "Get lost!" he kicked hard and directly sent that zombie flying. Actually, with Lin Xiu's current strength, he wouldn't be able to kill that zombie so easily. But because one of that zombie's arms had been chopped off by Zhang Yi, and even though it had attached it back, its physical strength seemed to have weakened. Lin Xiu pursued and attacked, then picked up the battle blade from the ground and charged over. "Go to hell!" That zombie clearly didn't expect that Lin Xiu would charge over like that and stab its chest directly. It howled loudly, then tried to grab Lin Xiu with its arms. Lin Xiu quickly took a step back and dodged easily. This was indeed the boss zombie. It wasn't completely dead yet and was still struggling on the ground. Lin Xiu's forehead was covered in cold sweat as the zombie's sharp nails nearly scratched his neck. Had that happened, there would be a risk of getting infected. Lin Xiu kicked the zombie's leg hard and caused it to fall to the ground. Then he stepped on its chest with his right foot and quickly ended the fight by chopping off its head. The zombie finally stopped struggling after its head was chopped off. Ding! Congratulations, Master, on killing the boss zombie. You've leveled up to level 6 and unlocked Gene Lock System. Congratulations, Master, on receiving 6 potential points. Lin Xiu panted heavily on the ground and looked at his own attributes in his mind. Host: Lin Xiu, level 6. Experience, 0. Strength, 50. Physique, 35. Speed, 32. Skill, Analytic Eye. Rage Build-Up, 0 of 100. Overall combat strength, 380. Combat strength is already 380? Lin Xiu was delighted, but he immediately felt that this system was simply full of malice. Previously, it was 250, and this time, it actually reached 380 in half the match. It was simply mocking him. Lin Xiu thought about it carefully. He couldn't just keep adding on to his strength. If he didn't enhance his speed and physique, it would greatly affect his combat strength. He merely fought for a while just now and was already gasping for air. After considering it for a moment, he added 3 potential points to his physique, allowing his physique to reach an ordinary person's level. Then he added another 3 points to speed and allowed his speed to reach 35. At this moment, Lin Xiu looked down, and at the bottom of the system frame, there were many icons that looked like they were locked with chains. Gene lock? Humans are the most complicated animals. In the human gene, there's a large portion that isn't in use and has great potential, but it has never been stimulated by humans. The so-called gene lock refers to the most basic potential in the human body, and it was said that when one unlocks the genes in one's body to the extreme, one would become godlike. Lin Xiu held his breath and tapped on the first gene lock icon with his mind. Warning, have not reached level 15. Unable to unlock. Damn it, Lin Xiu cursed internally, but he just needed to continue killing these zombies to reach level 15, and it shouldn't take too long. With that thought, Lin Xiu got stirred up once again. Lin Xiu, are you all right? At this moment, Yang Tian, who had already dealt with those zombies, immediately walked toward Lin Xiu. I'm fine. Lin Xiu shook his head and stood up. The smell of the blood on his body was really disgusting. Yang Tian was a little surprised that Lin Xiu actually killed that boss zombie without much difficulty. Also, he could sense that there seemed to be some changes in Lin Xiu's body. It was as though he had suddenly become much stronger. Let's go. We'll continue looking inside, said Lin Xiu. Right now, his strength was almost at the same level as a beginner warrior, and if they went in, it would be much easier to deal with those zombies. N. Yang Tian nodded. Both of them continued venturing deeper, and very soon they saw a sign ahead. It read, "Beginner warriors are forbidden from entering." Seems like this is the prohibited area that Teacher Luo had mentioned. Let's not go in. Lin Xiu frowned. They didn't see any zombies along the way, and there wasn't a chance of gaining experience. Should we go in and take a look? Lin Xiu. When Lin Xiu was in deep thoughts, Yang Tian seemed to have seen something. He tugged at Lin Xiu's arm as he trembled and spoke. What is it? Lin Xiu was stunned. Then he looked in the direction of Yang Tian's eyes, and his eyes widened. There was a snake on the tree over there. It was a huge python. This python had red eyes, and its body was as thick as a barrel. Also, it seemed to be able to change its color with the surroundings. No wonder he didn't notice it just now. This is the so-called evolved beast. Analytic eye. Rank 3 color-changing python. Traits? ? Strength? ? Unanalyzable? What the hell? Lin Xiu was frightened. This was the very first time he had encountered something that couldn't be analyzed. Run, quick! Lin Xiu broke out in cold sweat and called out as he immediately escaped. Chapter 8. Robbery. Damn! Go and chase the fatty. Why are you chasing after me? Lin Xiu turned his head as he ran and immediately saw that the color-changing python was chasing after him. Yang Tian kept running as well, and when he turned his head, he realized that Lin Xiu was already running in the direction toward the deeper part of the woods. He wanted to warn Lin Xiu that he was running in the wrong direction, but he had already disappeared. Eh? It's gone? Lin Xiu used his utmost effort and ran quite a distance. When he turned around, he realized that the giant python was gone. However, Lin Xiu didn't dare to be too careless. This color-changing python could camouflage into the surroundings after all. This was the scariest part. It might be hiding somewhere, waiting to mount a sneak attack on him. Just as Lin Xiu was catching his breath for a second, he realized that there were several people ahead. These people were in battle robes, but their robes were clearly different from the one that Lin Xiu was wearing. Also, they had all sorts of weapons in their hands. One of them was even carrying the corpse of an evolved beast. These people looked very strong, and they were clearly all official warriors. "Oh, from Xingyao Academy?" The leader of the group looked at Lin Xiu's battle robe and raised his brows. Lin Xiu knew that he was at the wrong place at this moment. These people were obviously an adventure team, and they were official warriors. If they wanted to kill Lin Xiu, he wouldn't be able to fight back at all. This was really bad. "Big brothers, I was just passing by," said Lin Xiu with a smile. "He's just a poor guy, huh?" A man carrying a huge blade walked over and sized Lin Xiu up. There was a hint of murderous intent in his eyes, and he looked terrifying. "Leave your battle blade behind, and you may leave." "Sure." Lin Xiu clenched his fists. Without his battle blade, it would be equivalent to losing his combat strength. Although he was unwilling, he didn't have any other choice. "Bring it over," that man sneered, then reached out and snatched the battle blade from Lin Xiu's hand. The second he grabbed the battle blade from Lin Xiu's hand, he grinned and wanted to swing the battle blade at Lin Xiu. Hiss! Right then, a horrifying sound was heard. Lin Xiu immediately felt a chill down his spine, and he instinctively pounced to the side. That guy who snatched Lin Xiu's battle blade away was bitten at the waist directly by a huge mouth covered in blood. "Ah!" That guy was clearly caught off guard and was torn up by the color-changing python. Lin Xiu, who pounced to the side, broke out in cold sweat. This was simply too dangerous, and if he hadn't been on his guard just now, these people from the adventure team were startled as well. The color-changing python's body was emerald green in color, similar to the surrounding trees. Also, this evolved beast seemed to be great at hiding, and these warriors came to their senses only then. "It is a rank 3 evolved beast, the color-changing python," a guy cried out when he saw the terrifying scene. "Color-changing python," the guys gasped. This color-changing python wasn't the strongest type, but it was quite terrifying. Its skin that could camouflage into its surroundings allowed it to become a killer. Sssss. The guy who snatched Lin Xiu's battle blade away was already swallowed into the color-changing python's mouth. Its head was enormous, and it flicked out its blood-red tongue. It appeared extremely threatening as it stared at everyone with its red eyes. A guy with a giant sword glanced at his teammates and shouted, "Get rid of it! The odd crystal of a rank 3 evolved beast, and the skin of this python could sell for millions." The few people's eyes lit up when they heard him. As the saying goes, birds die in pursuit of food, and humans die in pursuit of wealth. At this moment, they were very excited. It seemed like because of the appearance of this color-changing python, that group of people had forgotten about Lin Xiu, who was hiding at the side. Lin Xiu crouched over there and looked at the situation through the bushes. The analytic eye was activated, and he could see that those men were rank 1 warriors. Warriors were ranked 1 to 9, and rank 9 warriors were the strongest. It was said that the strength of a rank 9 warrior was equivalent to having an additional nuclear weapon in the country. The man with the giant sword had already charged over and brandished his giant sword. It was as if the surrounding air was stirred up. Then he directly aimed at the color-changing python. The color-changing python moved very swiftly in this forest, and when the man slashed his sword toward its body, it dodged it immediately. Then it opened its big mouth and wanted to swallow that man. Just then, one of the men with a muscular body rushed over. He had steel fists over his hands that were covered with spikes, and he punched the head of that python. What? But that python wasn't hurt by his punch at all. Instead, it flung its tail and sent the muscular man flying. A man's eyes narrowed and several daggers flew out of his hand. Swish, swish, swish. The daggers cut through the air. They were originally targeted at the python's eyes, but in this instant, the python's body moved and it instead got stabbed at the bottom of its neck. Hiss! The bottom of its neck wasn't protected by scales, so the dagger pierced through very easily. This made the python furious in an instant. With a bang, its tail flung hard. At this moment, that huge tree behind these people was snapped off directly. Damn it! Witnessing this scene, Lin Xiu's eyes constricted, and he quickly rolled over to hide. That huge tree nearly fell onto him. Ah! Roared the man with the steel gloves, and the muscles on his body bulged. He charged at the color-changing python to strike wildly at its body. He was trained in melee combat, and at that moment his rapid punch made the air crackle. Bang, bang, bang. When the color-changing python was attacking his teammate, his fist had landed on the python's head. After being hit so hard consecutively, that color-changing python seemed slightly dizzy. Good chance! The man with the huge sword quickly charged over and was aiming to pierce the python's vital part. Poof! But he didn't expect that the snake would actually spit out a large amount of green substance. He was caught off guard and got contaminated by the green substance. He howled in anguish as his body corroded very quickly. Attack its vital part quickly! Chapter 9. Gaining Rank. 3. Odd Crystal. Those few people's eyes reddened, and they had a fanatic look on their faces as they charged and attacked that color-changing python violently. Lin Xiu continued hiding in those bushes and held his breath. Although that rank 3 mutated, evolved beast was strong, it couldn't handle the attacks of so many warriors. Moreover, the vital part of snakes was the heart. Even though it had evolved and became so huge, that gigantic body still fell to the ground gradually with a loud thud. Ha ha ha, it's dead, it's finally dead. One of the men laughed heartily. Though they had managed to kill this color-changing python, most of their teammates were dead as well. That green substance that the color-changing python spat out had corroded many people's bodies. Just as Lin Xiu was about to get up, he accidentally knocked onto the tree at the side, making a sound. Get out right now. Just then, a man with a long sword pointed toward where Lin Xiu was hiding. Lin Xiu cursed himself for making that sound. He currently had the strength of a beginner warrior, and it was quite impossible for him to deal with an official warrior. So you're the one who attracted this thing over, huh? That guy sneered when he saw Lin Xiu. What are you standing there for? Come here. Lin Xiu gritted his teeth and walked over obediently. Help me remove the skin of this color-changing python and dig out the odd crystal, then carry my brothers back. If you disobey, I will kill you with my sword. He sneered and pointed the tip of his sword at Lin Xiu. Hurry up and dig, useless thing. The guy walked over and directly kicked Lin Xiu to the ground as he yelled. As the guy had just fought with the color-changing python, he seemed slightly injured at this moment. Lin Xiu, who fell to the ground and had his back facing him, had a ferocious gleam in his eyes. Ever since he transmigrated, he solemnly swore that he would not be a good-for-nothing like the former owner of this body. He glanced at the ground and saw the battle blade. That person was already injured, and his strength must be greatly reduced. Kill. As this thought appeared in Lin Xiu's head, he quickly predicted that guy's actions and picked up the battle blade from the ground. He then swung the blade at him. There was a loud bang, and the guy's arm that was holding the long sword was instantly chopped off by Lin Xiu. You? His eyes widened in complete disbelief. I forgot to tell you that I hate people calling me useless. Also, don't step on me, scoffed Lin Xiu. The guy who lost his right arm fell to the ground and wailed. The other dead bodies on the ground were corroded by that venom secreted out by the color-changing python, and they were about to turn into just white bones. Ha ha ha, kill me if you dare. Otherwise, my Zhang family wouldn't let you go for sure. The guy's face contorted in anger as he laughed sinisterly. A warrior was physically stronger than ordinary people, and even though the pain from his severed arm was intolerable, he wouldn't lose his life because of it. Zhang family? Lin Xiu knitted his brows. There were still several warrior families in this future world, and Lin Xiu seemed to have heard about the Zhang family too. That's right. You better send me to the A20 district's medical station and attach my arm back. Then cut both your arms off. Otherwise, I will make sure you die a graveless death. The guy bellowed in anger. It was obvious that he was already slightly irrational. At this moment, Lin Xiu's face darkened as well. Who do you think you are? Lin Xiu sneered as he held his battle blade and stood by his side. You want to kill me? Do you know the consequences of killing me? I will kill your entire family. The guy saw the ferocious gleam in Lin Xiu's eyes, and his expression changed instantly, but he still threatened viciously. Bang! Right then, Lin Xiu directly stabbed him in the chest without any hesitation. The man's eyes widened in disbelief. Sorry, I don't have a family. Dying! Congratulations, Master, on killing a rank 1 warrior. You've gained 2,500 experience points. Congratulations, Master, on leveling up to level 6. You've gained 7 potential points. Congratulations, Master, on killing a warrior for the first time. You've gained a chance to draw a prize. The icy cold voice resounded in his head, but Lin Xiu didn't have time to rejoice over it, as those bodies on the ground made him feel disgusted. He held his chest and gagged a few times at the side before this uncomfortable feeling gradually faded away. Since he had gained another 7 potential points, where should he add them to? Strength, physique, and speed? These 3 should be balanced, as there was no point in just having strength alone. Lin Xiu thought about it and decided to add these 7 points to speed and physique. Right now, his physique and speed had increased to 40 points. After he was done adding, Lin Xiu felt a sense of comfort around his body. He was finally a regular person now, right? He looked at the ground over at the other side, and everyone in that adventure team just now was dead. Also, that color-changing python wasn't making any sound either. The color-changing python's body was top-notch and worth a lot of money, but this thing was too huge and difficult to carry. Lin Xiu thought about it and took out his battle blade and swung it at that python's head. Bang! A dreary sound resounded, and a crack appeared on the snake's head. It's really hard. After chopping many times, Lin Xiu was finally able to split the python's head apart. That glow in the middle of its head was instantly visible. Odd crystals were a kind of crystalline lens that existed in evolved beasts, and a source of energy for these gigantic beasts. Warriors could cultivate and absorb the energy inside, thereby enhancing their cultivation. They could also use it as a source of power for some machines. This should fetch a good price. Lin Xiu took this odd crystal and smiled. He found another 2 odd crystals from these people's bags. It seemed like they obtained them from hunting evolved beasts. However, those 2 pieces were quite smaller and should be from a rank 1 evolved beast. After rummaging through, he didn't find any other special items that he could take. Besides, their weapons were not suitable for him either. Lin Xiu didn't think much and continued going deeper into the forest. It was most important to level up and increase in strength right now. He probably wouldn't be so lucky again if he encountered this type of adventure team that wanted to kill him. He hadn't realized that he had run in the opposite direction just now, and if he continued moving forward, he would be going deeper into the forest. Chapter 10. Counterattack. As he continued to walk forward, Lin Xiu became more and more surprised. There was the wreckage of buildings all around, but many were covered up by the plants. A few years ago, this place was still a thriving and prosperous city, but it had become a forest now. He couldn't help but feel a little emotional. Bang, dang. Lin Xiu stepped on a pull-top can and it looked like it was Coca-Cola. Eh? Lin Xiu was curious. The design on this pull-top can looked exactly like the one in his era. Lin Xiu took a closer look and there was even a manufacturing date on it. It was actually produced in 2016. Seeing this product that was from the same era as him, Lin Xiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Strange, why didn't he see any of his classmates yet? Also, where did that fatty Yang Tian go? There was a sign in front that said Danger Zone, but suddenly there was a slight tremor on the ground and the sign fell to the ground. Lin Xiu didn't notice it. Following this tremor, some gigantic birds on the huge trees also dispersed. Roar! A deafening roar reverberated throughout the entire forest. Lin Xiu covered his ears. That beast's roar nearly made his legs go numb. What is that? Lin Xiu looked deeper into the forest and saw a huge figure rushing over. Not good. Crackle. Rattle. Bolts of lightning kept shooting out, and those thick trunks around him immediately charred before they broke and split. Lin Xiu swallowed his saliva and quickly leaped on top of a tree, holding his breath. At this moment, he carefully looked ahead and saw a huge evolved beast in the middle. Its body was the size of a cow, but it resembled a leopard. It opened its mouth and revealed a set of sharp and long fangs. What was even more shocking was that there were several lightning bolts revolving around its body, and with a wave of its claw, the surrounding trees were all burnt by the lightning. Rank 4 Evolved Beast. Lightning Leopard? Lin Xiu gasped. Although the physical attribute of the former Lin Xiu was lousy, he was extremely knowledgeable. He could remember the images of many evolved beasts. That rank 3 color-changing python nearly killed Lin Xiu, so he definitely wouldn't be able to defeat this rank 4 lightning leopard. Flee! Quick, flee! But just then he saw a woman over there. She was dressed in a battle robe and held a long sword that emitted a cold white light. Her exquisite face was as calm as water, and she didn't have any expression on her face at all. She struck with her sword, and a white beam that was like a half moon appeared, chopping off the trees at the side instantly. Roar! The lightning leopard flew into a violent rage. As it roared, a large amount of lightning exploded from its body. There were crackling sounds like the sound of lightning and air colliding with one another. Although Lin Xiu was still quite a distance from that side, he could still feel his body trembling. Strong, too strong, analytic eye. Lin Xiu looked at the woman fighting against that lightning leopard and became curious. Unanalyzable. Lin Xiu was stunned. Why was she unanalyzable? Even when he couldn't analyze that color-changing python's combat strength, he was at least able to find out its rank. Wait a minute. Could it be that this analytic eye wouldn't analyze anyone stronger than himself? Lin Xiu tried using the analytic eye on the lightning leopard, and it showed that it was unanalyzable too. The battle in front continued. With the lightning leopard and woman in the middle, the surrounding trees were all destroyed. Probably because they could sense the terrifying air over there. Many low-ranking, evolved beasts were trying to escape at this moment. Pa! The woman's long sword, which was as white as snow, pierced toward that direction again. However, the purplish-blue lightning that revolved around the lightning leopard's body was like a natural shield and formed a defense for it. Roar! It let out a loud roar once again and smacked down with its claw, but the woman managed to dodge it with a mystical pose. Swish! Her sword struck again. Deep cracks appeared on the ground because of the impact, and it looked exceptionally terrifying. This was the power of a high-ranking warrior. Witnessing this, Lin Xiu couldn't help but get stirred up. As long as he continued to work hard, he would be able to do it someday and even become stronger. The battle went on as Lin Xiu kept staring at the scene over there. The duel between an expert and a high-ranking evolved beast was definitely beneficial for him. Not long after, the lightning around the lightning leopard's body appeared to have weakened. That woman took this chance and struck with her long sword again. The lightning leopard was sent flying in the air, and the lightning around its body dissipated at once. Done? The woman knitted her brows and held tightly onto the long sword in her hand. She then slowly walked toward the lightning leopard. That lightning leopard had suffered fatal blows from the sword, and a lot of fresh blood was flowing out of its body. It looked like it was about to die or lose consciousness. The woman's knitted brows had relaxed at this moment, and she was about to pierce her long sword toward its head, giving it another fatal blow. But just then, the lightning leopard that was lying on the ground motionlessly flipped its body and stood up all of a sudden. Several gigantic lightning bolts were released, and they turned into a huge lightning ball as they charged at the woman. How crafty! It actually pretended to be dead. Lin Xiu received a huge shock at this moment. This thing already had some IQ, huh? Zzz. Even Lin Xiu could hear the lightning sounds very clearly. That woman clearly didn't expect that this lightning leopard's counterattack would be so horrifying. She used her long sword and blocked her front, then released the energy in her body and immediately formed a protective shield. But that lightning ball was too scary. It even caused a stir in the air around them. Thump! There was a loud thud, and that woman's body was sent flying. As the trees were destroyed, Lin Xiu could see everything clearly. Over at that side was a steep cliff, and that woman was sent flying down directly. Dead? Chapter 11. Mysterious Girl. The lightning leopard stood in its original position, and the lightning around its body started to disappear. Its large body suddenly dropped to the ground with a bang. Its last counterattack before dying? Lin Xiu's eyes constricted as his body started trembling from excitement. He was unsure whether the lightning leopard was completely dead or not. If it was not, and he dealt the final blow, would it be considered him killing a big boss? Upon thinking about this, Lin Xiu clenched his jaws and held his battle blade as he climbed down the tree slowly. He held his breath and advanced carefully. He observed from a distance for a moment and only continued his way when he was sure that the lightning leopard had stopped moving. Seems like I got a windfall, Lin Xiu mumbled to himself. It was yet another time of him reaping free rewards, causing Lin Xiu to be extremely happy. When he extended his battle blade, his body froze as if he felt something staring at him. Cold sweat trickled down his back. He turned his head forcefully and saw a pair of eyes in the nearby forest. The eyes were curved and were somewhat fearsome. Lin Xiu subconsciously activated the analytic eye, but was unable to analyze anything. If that was the case, the eyes must belong to evolved beasts that were rank 3 and above. Damn, didn't the teacher say that there were only low-rank zombies and evolved beasts here? Why are the monsters getting more and more terrifying? Although he was unresigned, the thing was already approaching him at an extreme speed. If he did not leave, he would be in trouble. Run! He had to run. Roar! He went all out to run and found himself at a precipice not long after and immediately stopped. He turned and was finally able to see who those pair of eyes belonged to. Lightning leopard. Another one. Right, Lin Xiu's memories started to surface. Lightning leopards tend to live in pairs. It meant that the one that died was its partner. Damn, did it think that I was the one who killed the other lightning leopard? Lin Xiu immediately felt remorseful. Don't come here or I will hack you to pieces, Lin Xiu spoke after spitting out saliva. Roar! The lightning leopard roared out loud as lightning surged out from its body. Its sharp and long fangs made Lin Xiu's entire body break out in cold sweat. Damn it, Lin Xiu cursed, looked below him, and clenched his jaws. He had to choose whether to be bitten to death or jump down. Roar! Right when the lightning leopard pounced, Lin Xiu had already jumped down the precipice. Pain, extreme pain, as if he was being hit by sports cars multiple times, was felt throughout his body. This is where am? Lin Xiu struggled to open his eyes. He shook his head, and his vision became slightly clearer. He felt a slight chill on his body, and after looking around, he realized he was in some sort of lake. There was a small cascading waterfall nearby, where the flow splashed down and produced a constant sound. This formed a small river. There were various strange and bizarre vegetations around, and the sky was slightly darker, as though the sun had set. He remembered that it was still morning when he had taken the jump. Who would have thought that he had fainted for so long? It was fortunate that he had added the points to his physique. Although he was in immense pain, the injuries were not too serious. He stood up slowly and looked above. The precipice was extremely high, and his fall might have been cushioned by smashing onto a few trees. Otherwise, he would have easily died. But how could he return up? Lin Xiu was stumped. Eh? Right at this time, Lin Xiu noticed a figure floating on the water surface beneath the waterfall. He approached and noticed that it was the woman who was struck down. Her skirt had many cuts, and some parts were even charred. As female warriors were extremely strong in this world as well, people specially designed battle skirts. As the majority of these battle skirts were made using special materials, their protection was even stronger than ordinary battle robes. This time, Lin Xiu was able to see her appearance properly. The short distance revealed her breathtaking appearance. Her cheeks were fair and did not have a spot on it. It seemed as though God had paid particular attention to perfecting every feature of hers. How could such a beautiful woman exist? No, she was more of a young lady. By the looks of her, she seemed to only be 17 or 18 years old. There was blood seeping from the corners of her lips, and Lin Xiu reckoned that she had sustained several injuries from the lightning leopard's final attack. If he left her here, any mutated or evolved beast might pass by and eat her up. Just like how warriors hunted evolved beasts, they desired to eat warriors to improve their own strength. Without hesitation, Lin Xiu carried her body out from the waterfall. Her body was cold to the touch, and when the skin on her arm touched his, Lin Xiu could feel the tenderness of her skin. But why does she feel so heavy? He brought her to lean against a big tree. She remained comatose, and he did not know when she would wake up. Her right hand continued to hold onto a bone-chilling sword. Lin Xiu was neither a doctor, nor did he have any medicine on him, so he could not do anything. Growl. Lin Xiu's stomach let out a growl. He had not eaten anything since morning and was famished. He did not see any fruit trees and only saw beasts. Lin Xiu spotted a few fish swimming in the water and became overjoyed. The fish were mutated beasts as well, and were double the size of ordinary fish, but they were not as ferocious and were classified as gentle, evolved beasts. Evolved beasts were different from zombies. The virus in their bodies seemed to have mutated and did not infect the meat, but instead made their protein content extremely high. So they were perfect for dishes. Without further ado, Lin Xiu grabbed a long and solid branch and broke the edge to make it sharp. He held on to the makeshift fish spear and jumped into the water. Chapter 12. Luo Yue Lin Xiu became cool and comfortable the moment he jumped into the water. Although the fish swam extremely fast in the water, Lin Xiu's current reaction speed was quick enough to spear through a few fish. He took the fish on shore and found a wooden stick, as well as a thick dried-up tree bark and tinder. He placed the wooden stick on the tree bark and used both hands to clasp onto the stick and spun it quickly. As a warrior, the difficult task of producing a fire was quickly accomplished. The tinder was soon ignited. Lin Xiu swiftly threw the surrounding dried branches into the fire and created a blazing flame. He picked up the stick that had the fishes and started cooking them. If only there was salt. But Lin Xiu was too famished to think further and quickly ate up a cooked fish. Lin Xiu was surprised by the taste of the fish. Although there was no seasoning added, it was far more delicious than any fish he had eaten back in his world. Right at this moment, the sleeping lady frowned and gradually opened her eyes. When she saw the half-naked boy, her eyes constricted and she immediately thrust her sword at him. Lin Xiu turned his head in the nick of time and saw the sword. Damn it! With a curse, Lin Xiu subconsciously dodged to the back. What are you doing? He heaved a sigh of relief after dodging the sword. If not for her injury, he would not have avoided her sword that easily. Damn! If I didn't save you, you would have become fish food. Lin Xiu fumed in anger. He was speaking the truth. Although the fish in the water looked gentle, they were still evolved beasts. As long as they realized that she was unconscious, they might nibble her to death. You saved me? The girl frowned and realized that although her clothes were wet, there were no traces of it being touched, while Lin Xiu's battle robe was taken off and left to the side to dry. She heaved a sigh of relief, and the frown on her brows dissipated. She thought of moving, but the immense pain stopped her from doing so. Lin Xiu saw the coldness in her eyes dissipate and heaved a sigh of relief. He then wore the almost dry battle robe. Relax, I won't make you give your heart to me. The girl was startled, then retorted indifferently, Shameless. The way you say shameless sounds really nice. Lin Xiu chuckled and replied. He knew that the girl was injured and could not move much, so he became relaxed. Right, do you want to eat? Lin Xiu sat by the fire and cooked the fish while asking her. But she remained silent and looked around as though trying to think about something, causing Lin Xiu to be bored. Give me one. Not long after, her lips trembled as she spoke lightly. Although she did not eat such food, she was heavily injured, and without sufficient energy to recover her exhaustion, it would become very dangerous. Lin Xiu smirked as he thought to himself, I just asked if you wanted one, and you ignored me. but he still gave her a cooked fish. The girl held onto the stick that was stabbed into the fish and brought the fish to her mouth. She took a whiff before taking a small bite. It tasted not too bad. "What's your name?" Lin Xiu asked as he cooked. "Luo Yue." The girl remained impassive and replied indifferently, "Luo Yue? What a nice name. But she's too cold and seems to have a poker face." "I'm Lin Xiu. It seems that we're both of the same age. Are you an official warrior?" Lin Xiu asked with a smile. The title of an official warrior was not easily achievable. The majority of the people only became official warriors after entering college. Only a small minority had the talent to become official warriors while still in high school. And for this young lady, who seemed to be able to stand against a rank 5 lightning leopard, she would most probably be a rank 4 official warrior. Upon thinking about this, Lin Xiu took in a deep breath. It was too terrifying. "What do you want?" Luo Yue did not reply to Lin Xiu. She instead stared at him with her beautiful eyes and returned with a question. "What do you mean? What do I want?" Lin Xiu was startled and did not understand her. "I don't like owing people." She looked at him and continued, "Tell me what you want and I'll give it to you so we will be even. Or else I'll kill you." Her eyes emitted a ferocious glare that caused Lin Xiu's heart to tremble at the last sentence. "Damn, crazy woman. All right, I want to be as powerful as you. Is that fine?" Lin Xiu waved his hand helplessly. Luo Yue sized him up and replied slightly hesitantly, "Your aptitude is too bad." Lin Xiu almost fell to the ground. He opened his eyes wide in shock. What did that mean? The sky had gradually darkened, and the blazing fire attracted many mosquitoes. These mosquitoes were larger than the average mosquitoes, and every sting caused him to wince in pain. "Expel the mosquitoes." Luo Yue's hand was free to move as she grabbed a few strange stalks of grass and threw them into the fire. A strange scent emanated from the flames, and the mosquitoes disappeared. Luo Yue closed her eyes to rest, but Lin Xiu still felt energetic. While thinking to himself, he recalled receiving a reward when he killed the warrior. He entered the system interface, and there was indeed a bright icon. He moved his thoughts to it and quickly found a familiar lottery interface. The lottery interface was the same as previously, but there was a small change. The lottery wheel was now divided into 10 sections. 3 of them were categorized as secret techniques. 3 were union coins, 3 potential pills. The original 3 potential pills had changed to 2, and 1 became a weapon, while the last section was an extremely small grand prize. It seemed that the lottery wheel had different random opportunities every time. There might be some things one time and others at another draw. He did not need any union coins or secret techniques now, but only required a weapon. It had better be a weapon. Lin Xiu held his breath, and with a thought, the lottery wheel started spinning.